Okay. Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Meet the Candidates. Today I have with me Mr. Matt Griffy, candidate for sheriff. And we've got a big election coming up. Kevin Holton, his campaign manager, is also joining us today to talk about some of the issues that we face and to learn a little bit more about Matt. Matt, why don't you tell us about yourself? I know you're born in Bedford County and grew up here, but tell us just what's been going on lately. Tell us about your career in law enforcement.
Alrighty. Well, again, my name is Matthew Griffy. I grew up in Unionville, Tennessee, born and raised here. I'm 43 years old. We've had a lot of people that, I don't know if it's flattery or what, but they're just like, man, I didn't use that old. But it's another reason why I kept my beard, because I do look a lot younger without it. But
if they get close, they can see that gray, though.
Yeah, they can see that. It's platinum.
Yeah,
platinum
okay.
blonde.
All right, okay.
But no, I grew up in Unionville, went to school there all through K through 12. Graduated from community high school in 1997. Went to, I think it's called UT Southern now. It used to be Martin Methodist College in Pulaski. It's actually a part of the University of Tennessee now. I actually went there on a athletic and academic scholarship. Went there for 2 years and then transferred to MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University. Actually, I walked on the basketball team there, and I found out I was going to have to redshirt and sit out another year, and I acted like a big baby, so I let it go. But lo and behold, it was good. It was a good thing because I actually started in law enforcement in Petersburg, Tennessee in 2000. And I worked there up until I graduated MTSU in December of 2002. And I worked there for a little over 2 years, and then that's when I came in, and it was the end of 03, beginning of 04 is when I started at the Shelbyville Police Department and worked there for almost 10 years. And I started my business. I own MG Sports and Fitness here in Shelbyville. June, Kevin and I were talking about it'd be 13 years in June that I've been open, and that's been a true blessing. So, and then stayed. Let's see, opened it up June 15th of 2010, and that's when I had to make a tough decision, because like I said, I've loved law enforcement ever since I started, and because going back to I actually have a teaching degree that I've never used, and the reason I did that was because when I started law enforcement in 2000, like I said, I just absolutely fell in love with the job and the career of it, the process of it, and everything that it entailed. But I wanted to finish college because I put myself through school, and I'm probably maybe one of 3 people in my family that ever even actually went to college, and much less graduated there. So that was a personal goal for me. It was something that I really wanted to accomplish. And so fast forward to 2010, when I started my business, I noticed that the business I was doing both. I was still working at the police department and trying to run my business, but I noticed that it was doing better when I was there more. And I was getting a lot of interactions with a lot of people here and starting to make relationships with people here. And so the only people that knew was my mother and my father, and I was actually talking to them about, hey, I'm probably going to maybe step away from law enforcement for a little while. Like I said, it was a really tough decision, but I really wanted to build my business up, and I'd been helping people. I know if you guys follow my stuff, that's one big thing that I'm very God-fearing man, and I truly believe that God calls all of us to do, whatever it is that we do in life. And my big thing is I truly feel like that I'm here to help people. And my slogan that I always put on everything is make a difference or be the difference. And so I felt like that I had done that through law enforcement for a while, and I always knew that I could come back. So I made a really tough decision, and so I started the gym in June of 2010, and I resigned in October of the same year. And like I said, it's a very, very tough decision, but it was a blessing, honestly, in disguise. And so it just kind of let me grow my business. And then, lo and behold, like I said, I knew that I was being called to do this, several years ago, to actually run for sheriff. And I had the opportunity to get back into law enforcement, and so I actually went back in 2018. I actually went back to where I started, was in Petersburg, and I always loved the city over there, a lot of good people. And then I got back in, and I think I made sergeant. It's a very small department, and a lot of people make fun of it, but it's still a department nonetheless. I mean, we still have people there to protect, and a city to run, and a budget, and so it was good. But like I said, I made sergeant within 6 months, and then within a year, I was the chief of police there, and I'm still currently the chief of police, and have been for the last 3.5 years. So, and that just kind of what let me go back into it was I knew one day that I wanted to run for sheriff of Bedford County. I wanted to come back home and work here, but I wanted it to be in a position to where I could really truly make a difference.
Okay. You being tied to Bedford County and somebody that's grown up here, I know you have your finger on the pulse. What do you feel like our greatest challenge is in law enforcement?
Honestly, it's our growth, our residential growth, and I truly feel like it is a good thing that we are having people move here, but I also feel like that it's kind of a negative. It's impacting Bedford County negatively, and the reason I say that is, we have basically become the bedroom community of surrounding counties here.
Right.
Because our cost of living here is so much cheaper than a lot of different places. But with that being said, we have people every day that are getting up and they're driving out of Bedford County to go work. We are driving out of Bedford County to go to maybe a little nicer restaurant. We're driving out of Bedford County to find entertainment. Titans game, whatever, anything. Even going to a movie. We have a movie theater here, but something that's a little nicer to where we can actually go out and eat and watch a movie at the same night. We're having to leave Bedford County for that. And how I look at that is, what is that taking away from Bedford County? It's taking tax dollars away. It's taking, so I feel like that's probably the biggest issue. And I was so glad that you guys actually talked about this the other day on the cloud of meth that's over Bedford County. You're a business owner, I'm a business owner, Kevin's a business owner. If we were all new here and I saw that would scare me to death.
Yeah.
And I truly feel like that's probably is what kept or is keeping a lot of businesses away from here. And you look at how many businesses are shutting down now. We have restaurants here that are closing down at 7 p.m. at night on weekends because they don't have enough help.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the biggest thing is the actual the growth. We want the growth, but it's not economically growing.
Right.
So it's just growing in people, growing in numbers. So like I said, it's a good thing, but I would like to see more industry here, more businesses here, more things for entertainment, better restaurants. We don't really have anything for entertainment for our kids.
Yeah.
We don't have anything for them to actually do to keep them off the streets or keep them from doing anything or getting into trouble. And there's really nothing here.
Right.
So
right.
I think that's the biggest issue right now that we're going to be facing.
Okay, I think if you ask mostly everybody around, and they're going to agree with that.
Right.
Another question. You're elected sheriff. What do you do on your first day in office? What do you do?
Whew, man, so many different things that I can think of, but probably the number one thing, honestly, is I want to sit down with everybody. I'm gonna call up my troops. I'm gonna sit down with the troops, and I want to make sure that they have an understanding of what I'm expecting out of them. And I think that's going to be a big thing about the understanding of how I want them to operate. And the biggest thing is I want to make sure that they have the training and all the tools that they need to make their job, that they can do their job more efficiently, more accurately, but most importantly, in the safest manner.
Gotcha.
That's my biggest thing is just I want them to know what I expect. And and I'm going to touch on this. We've been hearing this all the time. I actually had Kevin and I were talking about it last night. I had a phone call about it happens every election year, but the jailers and the deputies, they're all being told by whoever that if I win, that I'm coming in and I'm firing everybody. And I'll go ahead and tell you guys, I've made a video on this other night, but that is the furthest thing from the truth. David, I don't know if you know, but we're 18 jailers short right now, and we're 6 deputies short. So I'm not looking to fire anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many people here in our community that they want to help. And I think they just, as we're sitting around, they just want a seat at the table. They want to be heard. That's a big thing. I think a lot of people are talking to people here, and they're just listening to them, but they're not actually hearing them. And I think there's a big difference in just listening and actually hearing someone speak. And I think that's a big thing, because we've had people reach out to us already about donating, because one of the things is I've really been hitting hard on is I'm going to bring in a narcotics unit for the Bedford County Sheriff's Department. And we've already had companies reach out to us about donating canines. And what this is going to do is it's essentially going to help us put that stronghold on narcotics like we need to, is because we're going to have canines to actually help our SROs in schools. Right. These are going to be multi-purpose dogs. They're not going to be just drug dogs, but like what Community had, the kid that got caught with the 2 9mm. These are dogs that are going to be able to sniff out weapons, not just narcotics. But it's also going to help, our deputies when they're making traffic stops.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to go hand in hand. But again, we have so many people here that want to help, and I think that they probably have reached out to current administration now, but they just haven't been heard.
Right.
And again, I think they just want a seat at the table. They want to know that their concerns are being listened to, and they just want to help. I think this is going to be a team effort. I keep, when I make my videos, I think about that I'm saying that, I want to do this, I want to incorporate this, but this is going to be a team effort as far as not just with the people that I have working for me, but the people inside the community. Those are where we're going to find out, who's manufacturing, who's distributing these narcotics and bringing them into Bedford County. It's you guys, it's the citizens, the taxpayers. Right. And I think that's a huge thing that I want to have is, that just that openness, that transparency with the public, out of the Sheriff's Department.
Right. Well, tell me what you feel like your strengths are and how you would use them here in law enforcement in Bedford County.
This is a hard one because I'm not knocking on anybody, but I think it's probably one of my biggest ones is my youth and my willingness to work.
Right.
And like I said, I'm a chief of police now, but I'm a working chief. I work every day and make traffic stops, do everything. And I think that's the biggest thing is just, I'm just kind of getting started. And I've been in law enforcement, like I said, almost 20 years, but I'm still young and
right.
I'm still ready. And I'm, like I said, I'm learning every single day. And with that being said, I think, technology, I'm able to understand technology and how far technology is going to take us. And I truly feel, like I said, I've heard all the old war stories. I know Kevin has when we were coming up about how things used to be,
right.
About how they used to have to do this, had to share cars, had to share radios, had to
right.
share sidearms or just whatever. But I think that's the issue now is, law enforcement has been trying, they're trying to do law enforcement 15 years ago.
Right.
And we are so far advanced now, and I think that's just the big thing is technology. With proper technology and proper training, the sky's the limit, basically, of what we can do and what we can accomplish. And I just don't think that it's being utilized the way that it should be.
Gotcha. I got one good question for you here, and this is kind of fun.
Okay.
What's your favorite thing about Bedford County?
We're kind of going back to the growth of the population that we have here. The one good thing that I do love about Bedford County is we are growing, like I said, rapidly as far as population, but at the same time, everybody pretty much still knows their neighbor. And I kind of like that aspect of it is that we're growing, but we're still a small community, and we're still pretty tight-knit, that where pretty much everybody knows everybody here. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. It's good and bad because, everybody knows your business. But at the same time, I think it's a good thing that, knowing if you need help, a neighbor that's just right down the road.
Right.
And that's probably my biggest thing. My favorite thing is that, even though that we are growing, a lot of us here are staying, close-knit.
Right.
So
This is another question that's, I guess you've probably already answered it somewhat, but I want you to emphasize it once again. If you get elected, what's your number one priority?
narcotics. Absolutely narcotics. Okay. Like I said, it has just devastated so many families here, and we have seen this, that the highest socioeconomic people down to the lowest, and it affects every status of life that we have, whether you're high class, middle class, low class. It affects us all, and like I said, and it's just ripping families apart. It's ripping people apart, and it's just not been it's not been easy for a lot of people here, and it's a very serious topic. It's a very touchy topic for a lot of people, because there are people here that have lost loved ones.
Yeah.
Because nothing's being done about that. So,
what's the broken window theory?
Yeah,
is what it is. I mean, when you have antisocial behavior and crime and vagrancy going on, if you don't fix that window, then it's going to continue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just part of it. I read in the paper where supposedly there was 800 drug cases in Bedford County in 2021. That's a lot of drug cases. It's almost hard to believe, but let's take that number and let's propose a question. Okay, say we come up with a drug court, and what's the one person that doesn't pay taxes? A drug dealer.
Yeah.
All of us have to pay taxes, but their income, they do not, and so therefore you have to go after them to relieve the tax burden that's on the citizen. And it's not policing for profit, it's policing to save the taxpayer's pocket. That's how you have to look at it.
Yeah.
And so therefore when you go after them, if say there was 800 cases and they had to, the fine was assessed at $1,000 for the drug courts, and what that $1,000 does, if you put it on a pie chart, it goes to rehabilitation efforts, it goes to education efforts, and it also goes to tools that better help the sheriff's department. That's $800,000 that would have hit Bedford County last year, and the taxpayers have not been burdened with that.
Yeah.
You know?
We were talking the other day about this on our last show. Bo and I were talking about the economy of the drug business.
Oh.
It's the greatest economy. If there's 800 cases, that's the people that got caught.
That's right.
Let's just think about it. I wish I had 800 customers, retail customers, walking in my store.
yes,
Absolutely.
And that would be a huge economy, but it's got to be, there's so much money that's being, if you could tap into some of that, that would be
Right.
awesome.
Well,
and that,
go ahead.
go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. I think that if there truly were 800 cases, did you hear anything about a meth lab being shut down, closed down? Did you hear anything about any homes being quarantined, schools having to be quarantined because there was a meth lab explosion or anything like that? So I don't consider that, if that, like I said, if those numbers are legit, if they're true, then I don't consider that success. That's 800. That's what, 2.2 a
Close,
day.
yeah.
Close to it a day. And are they misdemeanor charges? Again, they're just you can get a misdemeanor charge on a traffic stop by accident.
Right.
You stop somebody for a speeding violation. You walk up, the officer does his job and does it well, and say he smells the odor of marijuana.
Yeah.
Or sees it. It's in plain view. That's you can get a misdemeanor case in like an accident, anything
Right.
like that. So, but my thing is the biggest part I'm going to go after. I'm going to go after the manufacturers. I want to go after the people that are actually distributing this stuff into Bedford County. And before I ever got out here, 2007, 08, 09, all the way up to 10 before I left, we were hearing this almost weekly. You couldn't open the newspaper without seeing
Right.
a meth house being shut down. And so those are the things that I'm going after. That's gonna be my big thing, is like I'm going after the people that are actually bringing this in here, not just the dealers going around, street dealers.
Right.
It's like I want to go after who the manufacturer is, who's actually. We all know there's meth houses here. We know there are.
Right.
We know that there are pill mills here. So
Wow.
it's just. It's out there, and that's probably the biggest, concern people are hitting on our page, is that's what everybody's wanting is, if you can, we're never going to get rid of narcotics. I mean,
Right.
that's just ridiculous to even try to say that you could get rid of them, but we could put a stronghold on it to where if the availability is not there, then people can't buy it.
Yeah.
And like I said, and that just cuts down on families that are just traumatized by this, day after day and week
Right.
after week. So,
Well, I want to follow up on one thing here. You talked about, meth houses here, pill mills here.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think we have of that versus this stuff that's coming in from other areas? The big talk now is fentanyl coming across the border and drugs coming across the border. How much of it do you think gets to Bedford County? Or do you think most of our problem is local?
No, I think a lot of it comes to Bedford County. David, I can go to Tullahoma, I can go to Manchester. I do not see people karate kicking the air walking down the road. I don't see it.
Yeah.
But I see it in Shelbyville because we are predominantly taken over by narcotics.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the vagrancy is going on here, and that's because it's allowed. I mean, we have to do something about it. We have to.
It's like the homelessness here.
Yes.
They're not coming here because Bedford County, and God bless the soup kitchen people that are doing that for people, but homeless people are not coming here because of that.
Right.
And like I would say 7 out of 10 people that are homeless, it's probably because of a narcotic
Right.
that has destroyed them, has taken everything from them, and they've lost everything that they have. But like I said, the soup kitchens are a wonderful tool, but again, that's not why the homeless population has grown here substantially. So it's because the drugs are readily available here more.
Right.
And again, I'm not saying everybody that's homeless, that is a drug addict.
Some choose to be.
Yes.
Right.
So, but that's predominantly what we see in law enforcement. That's the case.
Yeah.
Is most of them are down on their luck. They just feel like they don't have any control of their life whatsoever. So drugs are an escape. They're a way out.
Right.
So and they get addicted and then they lose everything.
Yeah.
And then they just stay down and out. So. But yeah, that's a good question. I said I do think it's all. I was talking to my 13-year-old nephew the other day in junior high school, and he was like, "Uncle Matt, I can take you right now into my school, and I can show you which kids are selling marijuana, which kids have heroin, which kids have fentanyl."
And we're talking junior high?
Junior high.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, and like I said, and that's the thing that's it makes it harder, for our SROs, and it makes it harder for the teachers because. The biggest part of it, if a teacher finds out something, if they learn any kind of information, they are, they're required by law to report it.
Right.
But that's the thing is these kids are not, they're too scared to report it
Right.
because they're worried about what's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
What are the repercussions of them, ratting out somebody in
Right.
school doing
Right.
this?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. But that's why I feel like the narcotics unit is going to be such a huge thing for Bedford County, and then us, why do we not have canines anymore?
Yeah.
Why do we not have a narcotic? I have people on the campaign trail, that's the first thing that was like, why do we not already have this? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Vote me in May 3rd, and it's like, we will again. So,
Well, it's where we are, and I
It is.
agree that it is our greatest challenge, and I know, I'm glad to hear that it's your number one priority.
it is.
And I feel like this community, if you get elected, this community is going to rally behind you and help to fight. Wish you the best of luck coming
Thank you.
up in this primary.
Thank you.
And thanks for sitting
Yeah.
down with us and sharing with us about you and about what you want to see happen down the road.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you coming by.
Thank you, sir.
Kevin, thanks for being
Yes,
here
sir.
as well.
David, let me ask you one
All right.
question. We're all business owners.
All right.
You hire somebody to take care of your lawn, so to speak, and you put them on contract for 4 years. At first, everything is great, and then next thing you know, they're not showing up anymore in this area. Okay, and the grass starts growing, the weeds take over, and the insects take over, and then about 6 months before it's contract time, all of a sudden they start coming over and they start mowing the yard and fertilizing it and all of that. Well, the damage is done.
Yeah.
You can't keep pulling and not putting back.
Right.
So how long are we going to put up with this?
Yeah.
As a business owner yourself, when it come contract time, you'd almost have to agree that you'd be researching different options.
Oh, it wouldn't be just researching. It would be you're fired.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
then
sir.
I'd have to, when it gets like that, you have to.
Yes, sir. Well,
make a
that's
change, so.
we're overgrown
Yeah.
with weeds and insects.
All right. Well, that sums it up.
Yes, sir.
Guys, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good luck to
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.